Welcome back to another mini-ep, or as I like to call them, Mooge Booshes.
Is that the plural form?
Yeah, because this is part 3 of a larger Mooge Boosh.
This is an offshoot of Mooge Boosh.
So, we recently had a very awesome trip down to Tokyo.
Our first 2 episodes were on location, recorded in Shinjuku.
Before and after the screening of Sato's first film, which was incredible.
Bloody great. It was a great first day of our trip to Tokyo.
Wow, fucking well, I mean, it was also the cause of both of us getting very sick, I think. But,
Yeah.
But it was bloody worth it.
It was worth it. So our first 2 episodes were focused on that first night with Sato, but we had a very interesting second night in Tokyo as well. And I'm not just talking about the free gyoza.
That was fucking good.
Maybe that's how we should start this tale.
All right, how did we start our day then, Dave?
Well, you had been talking up this place with not quite free. It's essentially free gyoza. You order a beer and you get a plate of fucking free gyoza. It's madness. It's probably the greatest place on earth, maybe.
I would say so, yeah.
And bloody good gyoza as well. Very good.
Oh, it comes out on a hot plate, nice and sizzling.
So that's how we begun our night, by scoffing down. I don't even know how many plates of gyoza we had. It was a lot.
Oh, it was, wasn't it?
I've got an amazing video of you just going bonkers over this plate of gyoza.
Oh, dude, I go bonkers. I had gyoza today. I fucking love gyoza. My favorite food.
It's so good.
Gyoza and beer, best thing ever.
Great combo.
So we were in Koenji, a ward of Tokyo, which is one of... I think if I were to ever live in Tokyo, I would live in Koenji. Or I would try to live in Koenji if the rent wasn't astronomical. It has got absolutely everything in there. It's a place that has a very deeply rooted music scene. So there's loads of live houses, venues, and there's a huge punk and metal scene there. So there's loads of music stuff going on. There's loads of bars, record stores, really fucking weird izakayas and restaurants. It's got everything you want. I think if I were to have to spend all my time in one part of Tokyo, I know Shinjuku is awesome and busy and it's got everything, but I would definitely choose Koenji because it's not filled with tourists.
Yeah,
is one thing.
There were none. I didn't see any except us.
Yeah. We were the only ones. I bet everyone was like, oh, fucking tourists. They found Koenji. No. But it's got everything. You got everything you ever want in that one very small ward.
Yeah, it was great.
And, yeah, I try to go there whenever I'm in Tokyo. Mainly for the gyoza, but also there's a fantastic record store called Metal Boy. And it's a metal record store. Very tucked away, as well as there's a few really nice cafes and things in there. It's a great place. It's a great place. Best place in Tokyo. Anyway, we went there for some free gyoza.
Imagine if this whole episode was just about the gyoza. We should just talk about that for the next 30 minutes.
Gyoza episode. Oh, I mean, it's a wonder food. and then we had planned to go to Shozin Fukui's bar. However, there was another bar in Koenji that I had known about from a few years ago, but had never wanted to go there on my own. It was basically, I very rarely go to Tokyo with someone. I usually go on my own because I meet my friends down there. And my friends don't really have a similar taste in films as I do, so no one would ever in their right mind want to go to the place that we ended up going to. Therefore, I have not been. I knew about this place from a long time ago. However, I mentioned it very briefly in our Dog and Aunt episode.
Yeah. Well, just as a build-up to going to this place as well. So, it is the izakaya of Ryuji Yamamoto, star of Dog and Aunt, the guy who is a bit grim in that film.
He's very grim. He plays the sketchy doctor, who I think you said did a sad cum.
Of course he did. But just before we went there, our friend Alex, friend of the pod, student from student from Kansai, that's right. It's a little in-joke for us.
Inside joke.
Yeah, he had listened to the Dog and Aunt episode, and he gave me a few extra details where he sent me a message saying that Yamamoto Ryuji guy you talked about is fucking insane. He did a lot of scat films, so that led to one of his colleagues, Kato Taka, saying he's eaten the most shit in the entire world.
Right. Oh, wow.
And also, he hid from his wife that he was making scat films, but then a magazine did a special on him about it, and she gave him an ultimatum of me or the shit. And apparently he chose the shit. I don't know if that was his first wife or if he's had multiple wives, but that's the story. Yeah, and as you mentioned as well, he got arrested a bunch of times as well, right? For unsimulated sex in pink films. So, interesting fella.
On paper, he's a very grim dude. Eats a lot of shit.
The most shit in the world.
The most in the world. And has been arrested a few times for unsimulated sex in pink films. And this guy has an Izakaya restaurant in Koenji, this ward in Tokyo, which we just so happened to be very close to. Now, that was our final night in Tokyo, so we were like, I wanted to go to Shozin Fukui's bar, and Yamamoto Ryuji's place wasn't open until way later. But we were like, let's just go check it out, see if it's open. Because our free gyoza place opened way earlier, right, than it was supposed to. And I thought maybe because it's the end of the year, places are open early. So we took a chance. We went to Yamamoto Ryuji, the Dog and Aunt Fellas bar, the Shit Eaters bar. Lo and behold, it was open.
I love as well our build up to going in, like seeing that it was open from a distance and being like, do we ask him like immediately about Dog and Aunt, or do we have a build up like what's this going to be like? And then the moment of meeting him, it became very clear that we could ask anything that we wanted to this guy.
Oh yeah, nothing was off the table. Can you just paint the picture? What did the inside of his bar look like?
Well, so from the outside, it looked like a fairly normal little izakaya, very, very small izakaya. Tiny, like just counters, no tables or anything like that. We walk in and the walls are just covered in pictures of him. So in the center of the bar, you've got like his little cooking area, the counter, then the walls just covered in pictures of him, and not just posters of his films, not just like headshots. There's a photo of a woman spitting into his eyeball, for example. That's one of the photos.
Yeah, like these weird like screenshots of like porn films that he's been in of like him like like sucking on like used tampons and getting like spit in his eye and stuff.
So at the back of the izakaya, there's the toilet as well, and we noticed that there were stairs like going up to another floor. So Tana and I were actually speculating afterwards he maybe lives there as well at this izakaya. Can't say for sure, but it did feel it had a homely vibe, this izakaya, despite the photos of women spitting into his eyeballs and him sucking on tampons. Yeah, it was really intense, and he was just immediately like blown away to see a bunch of gaijins in his izakaya.
Yeah, Well, we kind of like sheepishly entered because there was no one else there, right? And we were just like, hello. And he's just, welcome, please come. And he's like, my name is Yamamoto Ryuji. I'm a male porn star. Yeah, and like away. He said, like in Japanese. And then I was just like, well, it's already started. There's no like, afterwards be like, oh, by the way, we know who you are. It's like, right. Straight off the bat, I was like, "Oh yeah, we watched you in Dog and Aunt the other day," and then he was just like, "Oh my fucking god!" He was like, "Well, let me show you around," and immediately started like explaining all of these weird like porn scenes that he had like decorated his restaurant with, and so he was explaining about the tampon, and he was like sucking the blood out of this tampon. And then he says, like, but then it wasn't enough, so I had to make tampon tea out of it, so I drank the tampon tea. And we're like, right, okay. And he just kind of went on this, like, massive rant. And we kind of sat there for about 5-10 minutes just listening before we managed to order anything.
Yeah. Yeah, we hadn't even ordered a beer, and he was just talking about sucking on tampons and eating shit and just immediately into it. The thing I found the hardest there was he gave us like a otoshi, like a kind of what would you call that? Like table charge.
Yeah, like appetizer kind of thing.
Yeah. And it was the appetizer was like a sausage with like two, was it like potatoes or something like that?
It's cognac, yeah.
Yeah, cognac, that's right. But it was set up to look like a little dick and balls. And he gave us this food, which already looks gross because it looks like a little dick and little balls. And it's sitting there in front of me as he's talking about eating shit. And I'm just like, I don't know if I can physically eat this, and I was kind of like forcing it down, but just hating every second of it.
It didn't taste bad.
It was fine, but it was just like having those stories at the same time as trying to eat something that looks like a dick was a bit much. Oh god.
But straight off the bat we were able to ask many questions about Dog and Aunt. And one of them being that the sex in that film is completely unsimulated, again, which was illegal. And according to him and the aunt fell in love.
Let's be clear that the sex, as in the human to human sex,
yes,
because there was some confusion there because you were asking him about the dog fucking stuff.
Yeah.
And he's like, yo, it's all real. The sex is all real. And Tana and I were just like, oh my God, they fucked that dog, or the dog fucked that aunt.
Yeah.
But then it became clear, like, he was actually talking about he fucked the aunt for real. And we're like, oh, okay, slightly less
I'm still not, like, I still think that the aunt got fucked by the dog.
Oh, God.
Because we asked him about it. I asked him because he kept misunderstanding my question. And I was like, so the sex between the aunt and the dog was real? Mm-hmm. And he was like, yeah, I fucked the aunt. And I was like, no. Yeah. I'm not talking about you.
That's all he cared about.
Like, he kept talking about it. And he said that they fucked. And then after, when they were doing the voiceover dubbing, they like went to the toilet and did another fuck in the toilet. What the fuck? But yeah, him and the aunt, they were in love during filming.
There you go.
But unfortunately, I was not able to confirm whether the aunt actually got fucked by the dog.
Yeah, he just said he didn't know, right?
Yeah.
So no strong commitment to that either way.
Yeah.
He only cared about fucking the aunt for real.
Yeah, but before let's put a pin in Dog and Aunt for a moment. Do you want to talk about the other customer that walked in?
Oh, okay. So we were having a great old time talking to...
Were we?
Talking to Ryuji Yamamoto about his Dog and Aunt tales, and I was asking him loads of stuff as well. Like he's talking about he worked with Akio Jissoji, who's a director I really liked. He was talking about that. So it wasn't all just like porn. It was mostly porn stuff. But it was interesting because it's coming from this guy who's had a fascinating career.
Yeah.
Then this dickhead, so the only way I can describe him, this other customer comes in and you can just tell, you know, when you like meet someone, you're like, oh, this guy is going to be really annoying.
Yeah.
It was just that vibe instantly. Sat right next to me and like almost immediately like turns to us and he's like, I'm a big fan of Ryuji Yamamoto because I love eating shit. And that's why I'm here, because I'm a shit-eating man and I love eating shit. So this guy, we're then just on one side, you've got Yamamoto Ryuji rambling about eating shit and sucking on tampons. And then this customer telling his life story about how he got into eating shit on both sides. And it was just so overwhelming. That guy was so annoying.
He really was. But I found it so funny. And I kind of, upon reflection, felt bad about like blatantly laughing so loudly in his face because we were all talking in Japanese, right? And then that annoying customer in English was like, oh, I love poo-poo. and unfortunately, as you know, as we said before, I mean, Yamamoto Ryuji, he's eaten the most shit out of any human alive, and so it's kind of become his restaurant has become somewhat of like a clubhouse for shit eating people.
Oof.
So they come from all over Japan because he's like the fucking messiah of shit eaters.
Yeah, this shit eating customer that was there, he was a Kansai guy, right?
Yeah,
like he was not from Tokyo. Yeah. Wow. And also, this is like a big tangent, but like I also found it really funny. We were talking about kaiju movies and stuff because also in the bar were just a bunch of Gamera posters everywhere.
Yeah.
So it turns out Yamamoto also loves monster movies, which I do too. So we were talking about that, but then the shit eating customer guy is like, oh, well, I love Ultraman. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I like Ultraman too. And then I feel like I kind of took one for the team while you and Tana got to speak to Yamamoto and get information from him. I then engaged with that customer and spoke about Ultraman fucking monsters, just Ultraman monsters for about 20 minutes straight. And it was literally just like him listing off monsters. I'm like, yep, I know that one. Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. But at the end, when we left, he was like, thank you so much for talking to me about Ultraman. It was amazing. And I'm like, was it? Was it?
Was it? Yeah. Yamamoto Ryuji, I mean, he's an actor. He's a very charismatic person. And despite him being an absolute piece of shit on paper, he was an absolutely lovely person.
Yeah, he was very entertaining.
He was so nice and entertaining and charismatic. And we spoke, not only about porn and shit and dogs and aunts, but he knew so much about like classic cinema, and he was doing all these like performances and recreating famous scenes. And there was a point we started talking about Stanley Kubrick, and he started recreating the 2001 Space Odyssey like opening scene, and he picked up his chopping board and was like spinning it around like the fucking, what do you call that, the
bone spinning around at the start when it turns into the thing.
The chopstick. And he's like dun 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 dun.
Oh, this is amazing. We've got a clip of that. We could play that here.
Let's play it. All right, enter Yamamoto Ryuji.
Answer, please answer. No answer.
Yeah, he also redid scenes from Bridge Over the River Kwai, and he's like, he loves Charlie Chaplin. He had like a Charlie Chaplin shirt on as well. And yeah, so he's like a guy that just like loves cinema and loves acting, but also loves shit. And he's combined those two interests very effectively in his life.
Yeah, one of the most profound things that he said, or at least I took away, was he started talking about the difference between now and back when he was like in his heyday of being an adult performer. And he was saying like, you know, because he's a straight male man, but he's just like, oh, you know, it didn't matter, you know, whatever the job was, I did it. You know, sometimes I would roll up on set and I had to like fuck this massively morbidly obese man. Mm-hmm. And, you know, that's just my job. I just got to fucking do it. It's not like now. Back then, we didn't care about gender. We didn't care about age. And when he said that, I was like, oh, fucking hell.
Oh,
yeah.
That's scary.
Yeah. But he was like, you know, we just fucking did it. That was the job. We had to do it. And, you know, now, you know, you have to get all these, you have to go, what's the fucking word? Like, get, STD test results, and you can't film unless you have recent STD test results saying that you don't have any diseases or infections or this and that. And he's like, you know, back then didn't fucking matter. You looked at it and judged on it based on the look.
Oh god!
and I was just listening to him talk about him fucking like fat men or potentially underage girls or potentially fucking infected vaginas and shit. And I was just like, oh my god. And I asked him, and I was like, were you not scared about STDs? And he's like, no. If you're scared about STDs, you can't do this fucking job. If you're scared about STDs, work in a fucking library. And I was like, god damn it, that's the best quote. So yeah, that's his stance.
Wow.
He said he was like a samurai, is how he put it. And he would just fuck anything.
What a character.
What a character. And then, through a very surprising turn of events, his wife walked in.
Yeah. And as we said before, that information that Alex, the student from Kansai, sent me, he apparently chose shit over his wife, but his wife showed up with a Clockwork Orange shirt on, no less.
Yeah,
another Kubrick fan.
She was a delight.
A very nice lady.
She was.
She looked a little bit world weary, maybe a bit tired of hearing his shit-eating tales.
She was a very nice person. She was, oh, thank you for coming. Please, you know, share the pictures online and stuff, and trying to get the word out. But yeah, I'm surprised to see that she's still, you know, kicking around.
That was, yeah, it's quite an experience.
Yes, it was. But yeah, and we only spent, I don't know, we probably spent about an hour or so there, and then we went on over to Shozin Fukui's bar after that, which was...
And had a chat about Corn.
You have to run up
the band Corn.
Yes, we did. Which was a perfect way to cap off the weekend. Now, I got home and immediately ordered Yamamoto Ryuji's book. So he's published a couple of books, and one of them he actually showed us whilst we were in his bar, and it's kind of stories from customers that have come to his shop. And it's like Yakuza stories or like scat stories or like weird fucking whatever porn stories and stuff. And it's kind of like collecting various accounts from various people and telling their stories through his book. And so I bought that, and so I'm going to start reading that. But not only that, I started digging a little deeper into the Dog and Aunt story.
Oh no.
Oh no, indeed.
We're back to Dog and Aunt again.
Yes, we are. And I'm sorry, but I have a few extra little tidbits for you, Dave. But that's okay, because it's probably our most popular episode ever. First and foremost, I made a mistake in our Dog and Aunt episode. Dog and Aunt has actually been released on VHS.
Oh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I can only imagine extremely limited quantity, because every source that I read said this has not been released. However, I have found a scan of a VHS cover. So this has been released on VHS, I believe. And the cover is Yamamoto Ryuji and the aunt fucking. and on the back there's
That's
a lot
the
of
cover?
Yes, it is.
No dog.
No dog. There's a little
What?
like square in the corner of
With the
Sandy and the aunt. But check this for a tagline. You ready for this?
Yeah.
The indecent howling dog versus the immoral ecstatic madam. So, yeah, this has been released. Not only that, so I mentioned about the sequel, New Dog and Aunt.
Yeah.
The dog is the same, the aunt is different. However, Dog and Aunt 2 also features Yamamoto Ryuji. But not only that, I might actually blow your mind with this one, Dave. It features someone else.
Right.
So, not in the aunt role, thank goodness, but Dog and Aunt 2 stars Yumika Hayashi.
Really?
Yes.
What? But not in the aunt role.
Not in the aunt role.
Holy shit.
Do you want to give a quick rundown of who that is?
Well, I'm sure she's someone that would be familiar to people that listen to this pod, but she was a very well-known Pink and AV actress in probably like, what was her peak? Like maybe the 90s, like late 90s is probably her peak. But she's in a few Sato films, including Naked Blood. You know, she's the one that eats her own eyeball, right?
Yeah, deep fries her hands, then forks out her own eye. It's one of the most infamous scenes.
And she's in my all-time favorite Pink film, which is Lunchbox, directed by a Sato protege. But yeah, she died a very like tragic death. Maybe 2005, I want to say, something around
something
that time.
like that, yeah.
The day after her birthday, they found her dead in her apartment. And I think initially they thought it was either suicide or murder. And her boyfriend at the time got basically accused of killing her. But it turns out she died because she went to bed drunk and choked on her own vomit in her sleep. So it was like a really horrible way to go. Tragic death. But yeah, she's an amazing, was an amazing performer. So she's in Dog and Aunt
2, yes.
Good lord.
Good lord indeed.
Wow.
So I am trying to find that because I want to do a sequel for the pod.
Oh no.
I really want to see that now.
That makes so much more sense now, though, like that you said that it had a VHS release, because that, you know, the one that was screened for us, like it looked like it was a proper VHS rip, right? Because it had like a logo at the start.
Yeah.
Wow. So you're actually going to try and find Dog and Aunt
hunting
2?
it down. New Dog and Aunt.
New Aunt, old dog.
Too wild to fuck is the other tagline.
God damn. Wow.
So there you have it. That was our trip to Tokyo.
There you go. Wow.
Well, I'll tell you what though. What a fucking great. We were only there for 2 days. So first day, we spent the entire time watching Sato films, then went out with Sato and Imaizumi-san, the star of his like classic films, drinking, chatting for like 6 hours or something ridiculous. We spent like 2 hours in the lobby just talking.
Yeah.
And then
We spoke to him for so long, it's crazy to think of.
Then went out to Izakaya. We were drinking with Sato, and the rest of the guys, like, they called it a night around 11 or something. Then Sato and Imaizumi stayed on for another hour. We were drinking till about midnight, which is insane. Then the next day went to Yamamoto Ryuji's bar, asked a ton about Dog and Aunt and other films, and then capped it off by going to Shozin Fukui's bar and listening to Korn.
Listening to Korn. Oh man.
Oh,
yeah,
that was a
really great
solid weekend.
Fantastic stuff. Wow, there we go. That brings our 3 specials to an end, I guess.
Until our next Tokyo trip.
Until Dog and Aunt 2.